Yeah, hello there and welcome back, and let us continue over here. And in this lesson we are going to test our register screen. So this is the widget that we are going to test. So in the previous lecture we learned how we can test our login widget over here, and today we are going to learn about the registration screen and how we can test as a widget over here. There are a lot of the conditions that you can actually test over here, but we will just look into some of the options for the testing. So if you go to the option over here, which is from the register feature register, and go to the register screen, you will see that we have this particular text box over here, and also we have the custom text form field that we can test, and also we have some button at the end, we have a checkbox, and we have some validation, and then we have this register function that's going to call our controller, and also we have a listener. So what I will do is I'll just right click over here and create go to test from here and create a new file. Once the file is created, what I can do is I can just go and start writing a test for this one. So what I will do is I'll just go and await, and the tester dot the pump, I want to pump a widget over here, and the widget will be of the let's say of a const, and the let's say of material app, and then material app will have a home, and with this home I can just pass my register screen over here. And once I'm done with that, what I can do is I guess I need to close it over here, and I need to add this comma over here. And once I'm done, I will just go and await and use the tester sorry, it should be of a tester that I have dot the pump, which will pump my widget. And after that I want to verify, or I want to expect that this particular screen that I just pumped will have this register, register, and register. So you can see there is a 3 text. So I'll just go and find from here dot the text, and text will be register, and you find it for the 3 time, and that the matcher will be of the find the n widget. So let's go over here and find the n widget of the, let's say, 3 time. And that should be good enough for our first test, right? So let's go and run this test case from here, and I think that you will get an error over here. So we haven't provided the provider scope, and you see that we get an error. And if you go to the console, and you will see that we have this no provider scope found. So what actually happened over here is that, if you remember with the previous login screen, we were able to test it without that particular provider. If you see, we were just providing the login screen over here, and we were able to find that login text over there. So we didn't have to provide that particular provider scope at the beginning, right? So if you go to this register screen over here, you will go on to the top, and you'll find here that we are watching that particular controller. So which means that whenever this particular login screen is created, which calls this particular build function, and when the build function is called, it needs to watch some of the provider controller. So this is the register controller provider. So if you don't have that provider scope, it cannot find this, and it cannot listen, or it cannot listen and it cannot watch. So that will give us an error. So what we have to do is, let's close this one and open up in the site. That will be much better. And what we will do next is let me close all of this, and here we'll go and wrap this one with the widget over here, and we'll call this one as a provider scope, right? And let me import this one. That will be from the Flutter Riverpod. And what I will do is, over here is I need to override the some of the provider, because you see it relies on this particular register controller provider. So we need to override that one. So let's go and add that particular register register controller provider that I will override with the another provider over here. That will be of our fake provider or the mock provider. We don't have to we don't want to use a real register controller over here. The point is that we want to do a fake call, or we don't want to use an actual controller over here. If you use an actual controller, this may go and call the APIs and the database and all of those stuff. So we don't want to do. For testing, we just want to stick with the fake object or the mock object over here, so we don't get into the real connection to the APIs and the database stuff. So we will try to mock all of those stuff over here. So you just need to understand why we are actually overriding it with the another provider. The main concept is over here is that we want to override with the another provider or the mock object or the mock provider over here. That is because we want to fake a call, or we want just to test a call over here. We don't want to do a real connection to the API and the database over here. So that is the main concept about the overriding it with the another provider. So we need to create this particular provider over here. So how do we create that particular provider? Is let's go on to the I guess let's go over here. Let me close all of this and let's go over here and let's add it over here. So let's call it as final and the mock controller. And if I go over here, I can just go to that particular controller. So let's go to the controller, and that will be of the register controller. And from here, what I can do is I can just grab this one. So if you see over here, I'll just grab this one first of all and put it over here. And let me arrange it properly first of all. And I guess that should be defined. So if I go to let me import this one, and I need a two dependency over here, which is a register service and the connectivity service. So if I go to that particular controller, you can see that this controller has a two dependency, which is of the register service and the internet connector connection observer. So that is the dependency that we need to. So when you think of it, you need to create a mock for this one, so we don't go and call the real API service over here, and also we don't go and call the real connection observer, which means that we are actually observing the internet connection over here. So we don't want to go and see whether there is a real connection on the device or not, because we don't have any connection to the device, because this test is not going to run on the real device. So we cannot get a connection status over here. So we need to mock it. We need to provide our own implementation for this one, and also for this register service. We don't want to go to the API and connect it and get the data and all of those stuff. So we just have to mock it to let our test pass. So we just want to stimulate that what will happen when the connection is connected, what will happen when we register over here. So we just have to mock all of those. So don't get confused that why I need to mock that particular object and all of those stuff. So if you see that we need to have these two particular the dependency, one is iRegister and the one is the internet connection observer. So let's go on to the top over here, and we will create a mock object for that one. So whenever you see dependency over here, you need to know that you need to create a mock object for that one. So let's go and create add and generate the nice mock. I will be using a Mockito. You can either use the mocktail, and so let's go and create a mock spec. And here in the mock spec, I need to grab that object which is of the iRegister service, first one, and just pass it over here. And let me import that one. And then the next one is I need to import the let's say the mock spec, and then I need another object, which one is from, let's go over here and grab that observer, internet connection observer class. So let's go and paste it over here, and let me import that one, and let me import it one too. Okay, so I guess it's not importing So if I go over here and if I try to package sample core provider and internet connection, it's not importing, so I guess something is not correct over here. So if I go over here, isn't used type around. So what I will do is, let me try to import it manually over here, and it will be of a internet connection observer. So I cannot find that. So let's say it should be of you have a YouTube package, right? So let me duplicate that one. Let me just duplicate this line, and here I will go inside that particular project. So let me go to the core, and inside this core, so I need to go to the feature, not the feature, so it should be of a core, and app inside that. Let's go inside it, and let's add our core and the provider, and provider, provider, and with that provider we have this is internet connected. So once we get that, I'm not sure it's because of the error, or it may be the caching issue, it's not able to import it. So you may not have issue for that one. So let's go and comment out this one. So I don't want to have an error over here, so I want to generate a code for now. So let's go and run the code generator. So it should be of the if I have, so let me just say that the flutter propagate flutter, it should be of a fem flutter pub run, and that should be of the build runner, and sorry, build build runner, and then you should the build, and that's delete 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 the conflicting conflicting outputs, right? Sorry, outputs. I guess that's the not the correct command, so I miss one over here, which is of the f. So I'm using fvm, so if you are not using fvm, then that should be fine. You just need to run the flutter pub run build runner build, and then just delete the output, the conflicting outputs. So let us wait, and that should generate the class for us, and then just need to comment on this one. And once we are doing for that one, let's go to this, and let's go over here and create a lead variable for our iRegister service, and let's call it as mock mock iRegister service. And let's go and have another one which is of this particular internet connection observer, and that will be of a mock the internet connection observer. So once we are done that one, we are good to go. So I guess that class has been generated for us. So you can see that the mock class has been generated, so I can just close this. And once we are done, let's go and have a setup function. So in the setup, what I need to do is I need to implement that too. So setup function are called on the each test cases. So we want to generate a new object at each test cases. So I will just go and say that the mock register service, which will be of equals to the mock iRegister service, that is the one that we just generated, and another one will be of the mock internet connection observer, which will be of equals to the mock the internet connection observer class. So this is the one. So we had that two class over here, and now I can just uncomment this one, uncomment it, and here I can pass in that mock object. So once we have that mock object, let's pass in, and this one too over here. So now we have a mock controller. So let's go and uncomment this one, and we can pass in the mock controller over there. So let's pass in the mock controller, and then it's saying that cannot assign that parameter auto dispose. So this is not an auto dispose, so we need the auto disposable over here. that basically means that we made a simple mistake over here. We can go to this particular controller again, so we need to grab the whole stuff from here, not just this particular register controller. So we need this to grab all of this, and just come back over here, and let's add in over here. So that should be the one that we actually need over here. So let me arrange it properly. So I made a mistake previously, and that one I need to import, I guess. Let me import that, and here I don't need to watch that too over here, and I will pass this to mock object over there, and that should be fine. And I can remove this one, and once I have, I can just say this one is of the mock, so I don't get confused over there. So it should be of a mock register or controller provider, and that should fix that particular issue. So we got our mock register controller here. Previously we just got this one, but actually we need to copy the state notifier, because this requires the another state notifier, which is of the auto dispose state notifier. So this was just returning us the controller. So once we got that one, what we can do is we can actually go and run our test and see if we still have some error over here. And now you can see that we finally have a green check mark. That's great. So we have just set up our provider, which is this particular provider scope, correctly, and now we are able to pump that particular widget without any error. So now registration screen can be popped to our screen, or we can pump that particular screen, and we can continue with our test cases. So before we continue with the test cases, what I want to show you over here is how we can write the proper description for this particular test over here. So let me use let me close it. So I'll use 1 2 3 and 3 4 6. So I'll use a multi-line command over here. So with this I'm able to write a multi-line comment over here. So I guess it should be on over here, and let me arrange it properly. So here we will start with the given, so given given, and I will say given valid form form. So what we want to do is we want to give a valid form over there. So let's open up the app over there. So let me just drag it a little bit over here. So I'm not able to drag this one. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to give a valid form, or you want to give an invalid form. So let's say first we want to check that when we do not check in this particular terms and condition, what will happen. So let's say if we didn't check, if the user didn't check this particular terms and condition, the form should be invalid. All right, so we will just say given I will just say invalid, given an invalid form. So what I want to do is given the invalid form with let's say with the unchecked terms and condition. So given an invalid form with the unchecked terms and condition, which means that the terms and condition is unchecked, and I can remove that comma over here, and when what we want to do is REGIS to register button is tap, or register button is clicked, then what it should happen. So then SHOU should show ACCEPT, except I guess if you go to that particular screen, we should see that particular error. So if that checkbox is not checked, we should get that particular error over here. So let me see. So if the validation fails, then we should see that particular text. So I'll just copy, and then should show this please accept terms and condition. So we will write this particular the description. So when you read it, you should know that what this particular test is going to do. So given an invalid form with the unchecked terms and condition, when the register button is tapped, then should show a please accept terms and conditions. So that is a good naming over here for our test cases. So this will be pretty helpful for anybody who is trying to understand what this particular test is going to do. So once we have that, let's go and continue. So we have mentioned that we want to have an invalid form over here. So to have an invalid form, what we need to do is let's go down over here and we just find that particular. That's great. So the next step is let's go and fill in the form. So what I will do is final, and that should be of name text. So I guess I can just copy it from the another test case from here, which is of the login screen. I guess I can copy all of this. So I don't have to just go and okay, I guess I just needed this too. And let's go back over here and I can just paste in, so this will save some time for us. And that should be the same key. So if you go over here, it should have a same key for the we have a name, I guess, first. So name, so I need a name key, and I will just copy this one again. So I will have one more which is of a name key, so I'll just import that over here. So name key, just import it, and then once I have, then let's go, and this is of the name field. So we need to make a name field and just copy this one, just find one and then put it. So wait for the request, we need to fill in that data. And then we have an email field, and then we got the email that should be of the next of the email text. And then we have another one is the password. So this is a password text key, that should be fine. And then let's grab this one more time, and then we have one more password confirm, which is have to go down and you'll find it over here. Just copy it and paste it over here, and I'll just say CONFIRM confirm the password field. So just grab that, and you need to find that, and also over here we need to enter the text. So I guess that is the one that we currently need, and I can just get this one from, I have the test data over here, and I'll go to the register, and I have this particular register valid or register request invalid. So what you can do is I guess I can either use anyone, because we are not going to get the true connection from here. So what I'll do is I'll just paste it over here and import that one, and that will be of a name, right? And then I will have this one as an email, and this one as a password, and this one should be of the confirm the password. So we are good to go over here. And next is that we will need the tab button and the check box as well. So for that, what I will do is I'll just go and we don't want to tap this particular checkbox for now. So let's go and just, once we fill in this form, we will just go and find that particular button and then tab it. So I'll just say await, and tester that we have, tester I will just go and tab. I can tab on the find, and dot I will find by the let's find it by the key, and let's go and grab that key from this particular button, so which is a button register key. So I'll just grab this one, and then once we tap that, what we need to do is we need to await and say the tester dot, we have the pump or pump and settle. So let me just use a pump and settle, maybe it has some animation. So once we tap that particular pump and settle button, what we want to do is we want to see that let's say we want to see that this particular widget is shown. So if you go over here, I want to see that please accept the terms and conditions. I want to see that error is shown on the screen. So how do I check that one is maybe we can just go and find the text, or maybe we can do a little bit better over here. So let's say a find or final, and I'll just say I will need a widget over here that will be of equals to tester dot I can have the tester dot widget, and I need a finder. So what type of the widget I want to find is just the type of the text. So let me go and say this is the type of the text, text text over here, and then I need to find a finder. So how do I find it? Is find dot by the let's find it by the text only, and that text will be of this particular text. So I just want to find this, right? Just grab this text and then just paste it over here. And once I have that, I have a widget over here now. So I have a text widget, and I can do many things with that particular text widget. So let's go down over here, and I will just say that I will use to verify, expect that the find dot by the, now I can use a find by widget. Now I have a widget, I'll find, and I will say that I find the at least one widget over there with that particular text. And next is that I can also say that the expect over here, and it should be of a, since we have a widget, we can do things like wid get widget dot the style. So let's check the it has a lot of options. You can actually go and see like that, soft wrap style, text elegant. So if you want to check this, I want to check the style of that one, and if it is not null, then the color, I should see that this color should be of the if I go to this checkbox, and if I see that particular color, so error color, you see when the field has the error, it is on the color of the red. So I want to verify that it is on the color of that particular text is on the red. So I'll just say colors that I'll just say each of the red. Now that should be good enough, right? So I guess we can just go and try to run our test case from here. So let's go up, and now you just try to run it and just wait for it. And now you can see that we have a green check mark over here, which means that it was able to run all of these test cases from here to here, and it was able to find that particular error box, and also the color of that box was the text was matching. So that's great news. So now we have successfully passed our case 1, and maybe you want to test some more over there, like you can test the validation of the password doesn't match, and the password field is empty. So all of those stuff you can actually go and test around. But the next thing that I would like to test over here is what happens if I click on this register button, which means that all of our form is valid over here, and then we click on this register button over here, and then it should go and call our controller, and then it should return us some value over here. Based on that particular value, you can see that we are listening to that value over here, and if the result was successful, then we will show this particular dialog box. So let's say the result of the register was successful, and they should see that particular dialog box is shown. And then when the user click on this yes button, they should navigate somewhere, and then if they click on no, that should just cancel this particular the dialog box. Since we are not doing the integration test, we cannot do this particular navigation over here. We cannot navigate to the another screen. That is not the part of the widget test. The widget test is a standalone test, which means that we are testing our widget as a single piece of the widget over here. We are not connecting multiple widget and navigating and all of those stuff over here. So we cannot do this particular navigation test over here. We are just going to click on this particular tab, the no button, and then it should dismiss this particular dialog over here. So that is the another test case for us. So let's go and grab all of this from here. So I'll just grab all of this and just paste it just below over here. And the next thing is that what we will do is we'll just go and change the name over here, or the description of this. I will just say given a valid given a valid form when so I guess it should given a valid form, or the can just remove this one, given a valid form with register request request. When register button is tapped, then it should RTO return SUCCE success. I guess I need to remove this. It should return a success and show a dialog. All right, so this is what we are going to test when we have a valid form, and when with a register request, and when the register button is tapped. What we want to do is we should see that it has returned the success, and also that the particular dialog box is shown. So let's go down over here, and now what we need to do is over here, since that if you see over here, this button is actually calling some controller function, and when that controller function is called, when that button or the register button is tapped, if you go to that over here, you should see that there are a few things that is happening. Then when the user press that registration button, it's going to check for the internet connection, and if there is an internet connection, then we are going to go to the API and do the registration, and it's returning some value over here, and then based on that value we are going to update the state like registration was successful or registration has some error. So there are a couple of things going over here, so we need to mock that too. So let us go on to the our test case over here, and in the test case over here, what we have over here before the mock object, what I will do is I will create some condition. So this is a stubbing, which we call it, which means that what will happen when that particular function is called. So we just want to stub it and let it say that when this particular function is called, just return me this value. Like let's say when the register function is called, just return me a true value, or when that check the internet connection function is called, just return me a true or the false value. So this is the stubbing that we do. So let's go and write our first stub, which is of a when. And when what I want to do is mock the internet connection observer has a function which we are calling over here. So if you go over here, it's internet connect, it's net connected, so we are calling that function. So I will just go and stub over here. So when that particular function is called, this is returning a future of the bool. So what I should say over here is dot then answer. So I want to just remove this, it's not required. And since this is a future, I need to make it as a asynchronous call over here, and from here I'll just return the true. So which means that if you want that internet to be connected, you can just return a true, or if the internet is not connected, now you can return a false from here. So this is the main concept about the mocking. So now we don't have to go and call that particular function actually, so we just can mock that and say, hey, when that function is called, just return a true or the false from here, and that's not going to call or implement the actual real classes or the function for you. So that's the benefit of mocking. So next is that we will have another function call, right? So that is when we have the mock the iRegister service dot this register function is called. With that particular we have this register, just pass in that register request over here. And when this function is called, what I want to do over here is then answer. So I guess it's the future. So here you can see it's a future of the result, and it's either return the error or failure or the boolean. So here we just want to stub it like when this register function is called, just return me a true, which means that it was successful. So this is the then answer. I can remove this one. And then this is asynchronous function, so I'll just make it as asynchronous call. And from here, if you see that I need to return the type is of the result set. So in the result set, there is either a success or the failure. So I'll return a success from here, which is of the true from me. Just close it over here. And this should be of a const. Okay. So now we have already mocked. So if you go to that controller, it is calling two functions. So one is this one, and one is this particular register. So once we have that two function call, we are good to go over there. So we have that. So now whenever we click on this particular button, which is of the register button, once our form is valid, it should go and call that particular function. So next thing is that we need to actually call this, make this, where is that, the checkbox. We need to make this, mark this checkbox as a valid. So how do we do that? Is go over here, and I'll just say just use it directly, tester, tester.tab. I want to I will use await, so I need to use await tester.tab over here, and I'll find it by the ID, I guess. Find that by, I guess, the okay, do we have the ID for that one? I don't see. Do we have the ID? No, I don't have an ID. So I'll just find it by the checkbox widget. Since this doesn't have any ID passed in, so I'll just use as a type over here. So by the type, and I'll just pass in the type that I need to find over here. So that will be of the checkbox widget. So since we only have one, then this should not be a problem. If you have a multiple checkbox widget over here, then it should be a problem, but since we have only one, we can just use by the type over here. And I'll just find it and just tab it, and I can do, after tab it, I will just go and use the await and the tester.thepump, sorry, PUMP pump. So this will just pump pump the widget over there, and it will settle all of the frames. So once the frame is settled, we can just go and find our registration button over here again, and then we will tap that particular registration button over here. So once we tap it, I don't want to find this particular text over here, right? So this is not the case that we want to do. We want to see whether that alert box was shown, or also if you go over here on the top, when the registration was successful, if you see that when the registration was successful, we will see this particular registration successful text over here. So then one thing we can find is that if this text box was successfully shown after the registration was successful. So I'll just go and say, I will just remove all of this. We don't want to find that, and I'll just go and expect from here, expect that we have find the text, find.the text, and the text is that we are going to find this text one. So we will have this text over here and say the registration was successful, and I'll just say find at least one widget of that one, right? So next thing that we can also find is that the alert dialog was shown. So expect that we have the find dot by, I guess it should use a type. I guess that doesn't have the ID, so it doesn't have the key, I guess. So if we go over here, so we are not passing any key over here, so I'll just go and find this particular alert dialog. So if I go to this particular alert dialog over here, it is an alert dialog. So I want to see that I find this particular alert dialog over here, and then matcher is, I'll just say I'll find at least one widget of that one. So that should be good enough, right? And then what you want to do is over here, what we are passing over here is to that dialog is we have a title message. So what we want to do is, let's say we want to find this text is shown or it's in the screen or not. So I'll just duplicate this line, and I'll just say find I should have duplicated another line. So let's say find the text, and this text is of this one. So let's say I want to see this on the screen. So when the registration was successful, so at least I will find the one widget, and then what I want to do is I want to see if I can tap on this particular no button. So because we cannot type on the next because it's navigating, so we cannot do the navigation test over here. So let's go and find that one. So await and the tester that we have over here, and I'll just say a tab over here, tester.tap tab, right? I want to tap on the find.the text. So the text is of button no, so I want to type on this particular, tap on this text which is of a no, And once I tap that one, I'll just go and say await, and the I need to pump and settle, either pump and settle or the just pump. I'll just use a pump and settle, that is more safe. And once I have that, once I tap on that one, I don't want to see that this particular dialog is there and this text is there, so I'll just copy this again, paste it over here, and I'll just say find nothing. So I don't want to find any of the other dialog anymore, and also I don't want to find this find nothing over here. So that is the concept that we are currently testing. So when we our form is valid, and when we click on this register button, it should return us the success, and this particular registration successful text should be shown. And we should also see all our dialog box, which is giving some text, like we need to find, do you want to log in now, and we should find that. And once we tap on the no button, and then that should dismiss that particular dialog box, and then we should not see that dialog box and also that particular dialog box title. So let's go and run this one. I hope we have done it correctly. Let's go and run it, and here you go. So you can see that this is a green check mark. And if I go to the test, and you can, I guess this is a testing tab, and now you can see that all of our test cases that we have on this particular screen, which is a register screen test, it is on a green check mark. And the next thing that we can do over here is let me just close all of this from here, and let me make it a little bit bigger. What I can do over here is, since we have a two case over here, two test case, what I will do is I will go over here and create a group. So group will be much easier to manage, right? So this will be of the let's say the description that we can give. Let's say login scr screen test case or something. You can just keep it over here. So then the body, and once we are done with that, what we can do is we can just grab all of these tests from here and just cut this section and put it inside this group. So now it is inside of our test group. So let's arrange this properly, I guess. Let me go on to the top, and I guess it's from here, so it's need to be on the proper intent, so it should be easier to read for everybody. So let's add the proper intent over here. So I guess that should be good enough. And now we can instead of testing one by now, one, I can just run it in the group, and that should run all of the test cases for us inside that particular group. And here you go, you can see all of those check mark, which is of a green check mark. Now that's cool, right? So we have successfully tested our this registration screen over here, and there are other stuff that you can actually go and test, which is of the validation of the form, and if the password of this, both the confirm password and this each match. So you can just pass in the invalid password on the one of those, and you can test all of those stuff. But I guess that's all for this lesson, and I hope you learned a couple of the concept over here. And the main takeaway from here is to write a proper naming for your test cases, so that will give the better understanding for the people who is trying to understand what that particular test is actually doing, because he's not going to go through all of these test cases, what you are doing over here, what are you actually finding, and it's quite of the lot of the work for them. And if you just have a proper naming over here, and you just say give with the given the invalid form when with the unchecked terms and condition, and then when the user press on that particular tab button, it should just show us the error with this particular text. So with this they will understand that okay, so this particular test is doing these cases, so I can just go and look at the end what is actually doing. Is finding something, or it's going to expect something. So that will be much more easier for people to understand, instead of writing some random text over here and that doesn't match with your test cases. Another takeaway over here is to that whenever you have the screen that is actually watching that the provider, you need to have the provider scope at the beginning. So if you don't have the provider scope, you will get an error from there. And the next concept that we learn over here is to have the mock object for our controller provider, and why we create the mocks first of all, and also why how we can pass in the dependency over here. And that's all I guess for this lesson, and I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll meet up with the next lecture where we'll learn some more concept about the testing. Till then, have a great day.